up. I'm excited. Hey, what's going on? This is Roy, the plant-based prepper, and I'm excited to share with you some updates on my automatic watering and constant feed seedling trays. I made this system because I knew we would be gone from time to time, and these seedlings needed to get watered, and there was nobody else to do it. I didn't want them to die. I've had this problem before in the past. So what I did is I used 1/4-inch soaker tubing, ran them along all the seedling trays, set them out here in the sun, and watered them until it was time to add constant feed. You can see 99% of these seedlings are green and healthy. They have no burning whatsoever because the tubing waters them underneath the leaves. I do have some burning on some true leaves, like this one over here, when I was watering it by hand, pouring the constant feed on them. But this is the first time in a year, probably 2 years, since I've been trying to grow seedlings where they're all green, all healthy for this long. I am glad I went with the pegboard system, which is an 8x8 board, which adds 64 evenly spaced holes in each one of these seedling trays, because as you can see, everything is spaced out enough so I don't have to transplant them to another seedling tray when they grow. I don't need as many seeds or plants as anybody else because I have 2 grow beds here. I will be building more grow beds, and I was hoping to have those done in time before these were ready to transplant. So I've got this weekend and next weekend to get that going, and hopefully get 1 bed done so I can transplant. The rest of these seeds I'm either going to donate or sell on my farm stand. So I want to inspire others and encourage others to grow. So I have a farm stand, I sell eggs, going to add seedling trays and some fruits and vegetables for my garden. Okay, so let's move on and show you how my automatic watering system works. Okay, let's break it down into just 1 seedling tray because that is what the recipe is for. And then we will just multiply it based on how many seedling trays we have. So the recipe for Mittleider is 1 ounce of weekly feed diluted into 3 gallons of water. That 1 ounce of weekly feed should last you a week. 3 gallons of water is the recommended amount that should last a week, but you may need more or less based on the temperature and if you're growing inside outdoors, if it's 100 degrees. So what I did was I bought a water meter right here, and I watered my seedling trays every day. What you have to figure out is how often you need to water your seedling trays and how many gallons of water it uses, and then just dilute that 1 ounce into that amount of water so that it will last a week. Now what I decided to do was use this 55-gallon drum right here. It's not filled up all the way, it's only filled up halfway, and my water meter tells me that it is holding 25 gallons at a time because I have a float in here that shuts off the inlet so that I can collect rainwater too. That's why I'm only filling it up halfway. I have a solar operated system right here that with a ball valve that opens and closes for 2 minutes 4 times a day. It's half a gallon of water per seedling tray. So it's taking about 20 gallons of water. So this has enough water in it to water my seedling trays. And the other watering system is going on for my grow beds. So what I'm doing, let me back up here. Is diluting my weekly feed into this 5-gallon bucket with 5 gallons of water. I'm adding 1 ounce per seedling tray, which I have 5, so there's 5 ounces of weekly feed in here. I'm using a strainer so that it does not get inside the bucket, go inside my tank and clog up any of the small 1/4-inch tubing. So I'm filtering it here. I'm also filtering it on the other side, on the outlet side, just to make sure nothing gets clogged. This has been in here for a few days because it'll be ready for the next filling in a week. So every 7 days, I'm going to add this entire bucket of weekly feed to this right here. And it'll be mixed in, and then with this 25 gallons of water, it'll last exactly 1 week to feed all 5 trays. Every tray will get 1 ounce of weekly feed that way and be enough to grow your seedlings. Now, let me show you how I fill up this tank. Since I have a pump here that pumps water from the tank here down to here over to my seedlings, I also put a T connector there with a hose bib that pumps water from here up to my Y connection here with it closed, so that basically if I open this valve, it's going to suck water from this outlet, push it back into the tank. And just for an example of that, I'll open it up. The pump goes on automatically because it knows I release pressure. All it's doing at this point is recycling the water, right? So I'll close that valve. I'll close this valve. I'll unhook the outlet that pulls water into the pump, put it into my 5-gallon bucket right here, and instead of pulling water out of the tank and feeding my seedling trays or putting the same water back in, now all I have to do is open this valve. All I have to do is open this valve right here. It's going to suck water out of my 5-gallon bucket, push it right into the tank for me. I don't have to go to the top. I don't have to drop my strainer in there and dilute the weekly feed in the tank. Very easy to pre-dilute your weekly feed and your constant feed right here and suck it right into the tank if you have a pump. Now I already have enough in there right now, so I'm going to stop it. I just want to show you. And it took about a quarter of the bucket right now. I want to push it back in here. I'm going to push it back in here. Leave this one closed. Open this back up, and the pump is going to suck the water out of the tank when my timer goes on to water my seedling trays. Close this one back up for now. So all you have to remember is that 1 seedling tray requires 1 ounce of weekly feed per week. How much water you need to water your trays for that 1 week, 7-day period is going to depend on the temperature, if you're growing inside, outside, how hot it is. Figure that out by just getting yourself a water meter right here before you water 1 tray, and then just multiply it based on how many trays you have. I'll go back over there and show you some of my seedlings up close and how well they're doing. One thing I want to mention before I wrap this up is the difference between weekly feed and constant feed, because I will be providing constant feed use an automatic system to my grow beds. I'm going to be adding more barrels over here because I will need more water to dilute the weekly feed. Grow beds require a ½ ounce per linear feet, so I have a 15-foot grow bed here, but it's double wide, so it still requires 15 ounces here, 15 ounces here, so that's 30 ounces of weekly feed. I have to figure out how many gallons of water each bed uses per day, times it by 7, and then I'll have enough barrels up there to support that. I will dilute the 30 ounces of weekly feed in the amount of water it takes for 1 week to water my grow beds. Now with seedling trays, the formula is a little different, and I believe it's by design. Dr. Mittleider did it this way because he was smart. He made the seedling trays 18 inches wide, which is the recommended width of the grow beds, 18 inches wide. But the difference in the weekly feed diluted is 1 ounce for every 1.5 feet, because the seedling trays are 1.5 feet long, or 18 inches. It's a little more than 0.5 ounces, it's 0.67 ounces to be exact, because when you provide constant feed, a lot of it's going to drain and leach out. Your plants are going to absorb as much as it needs, but then it's not going to absorb the rest, and a lot of it's going to drain out the bottom or in the soil. And so there's a little bit more weekly feed in there diluted, I think, to compensate for that. I will start with a ½ ounce. If I see any nutrient deficiencies because of leaching or drainage, I will up it to the 0.67 ounces per linear foot, which is the same thing as 1 ounce per seedling tray, which is 1.5 feet. You just have to remember that one seedling tray requires 1 ounce of weekly feed per week. How much water are you using to water that seedling tray every day, times it by 7, and dilute 1 ounce of weekly feed into that water to make your constant feed. If you want to feed your grow beds the same way, it's the same math. You just need more water, but you're still providing the same amount of nutrients to your plant when you water, whether it's diluted or whether you add the granules to the soil and it gets broken down over time for the week. You are always feeding your plants the nutrients every day, and that is what I want to drive home, because at first, when I thought I could just provide constant feed to my plants once a week, I was wrong, because that would have just provided all the nutrients at once, all 15 ounces of weekly feed at once in diluted form, and a lot of it would have just drained out, and it probably would have provided too much and harmed the plants. Watch my results and let's see what happens before you go ahead and do this. But for sure, the seedling trays is working out. I've already tested that, and now I'm going to start on my grow bed system, automatic, using the constant feed formula. So that's it for now. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and just keep prepping.